In 2013, Ashton Kutcher and Josh Gad starred in Jobs, a 2-hour, 8-minute drama that tells the journey of visionary Steve Jobs. Unfortunately, it was not well received, and today is on Amazon.com for about $10. You have to add tax. Smash cut, 2 years, 2 months, and 1 week later, and in 2015, Michael Fassbender and Seth Rogen starred in Steve Jobs, a 2-hour, 2-minute drama that gives a backstage pass to Steve Jobs before 3 major conferences. It was well received, critically, and today is on Amazon.com for $14.99. Oh yeah. Steve Jobs. I have not read the book by Walter Isaacson, but I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that I absolutely adore this movie. The story follows Apple co-founder Steve Jobs, first backstage at the Macintosh unveil in 1984, then in 1988 for the unveil of the NeXT computer, and finally in 1998 for the unveil of the iMac. Juggling his co-founder Steve Wozniak, assistant Joanna, ex-girlfriend Chris Ann, and his daughter Lisa, Steve walks the line between managing expectations and pissing off his closest allies, all the while maintaining his image as a genius. We lost Steve Jobs on October 5th, 2011, and following that, Hollywood made a few phone calls and got the Apple rolling. The man may no longer be with us, but there are still lessons that can be learned, philosophies passed on, and given the power movies have, the story of Steve Jobs, by default, qualifies as inspiring. It also only helps that Aaron Sorkin wrote the screenplay. What that man does with dialogue is precisely what Steve Jobs did with his company: conduct an orchestra. Unfortunately, during his press run, Sorkin was challenged regarding how valid various portrayals were.
For instance, you portray Steve Jobs as having a somewhat different relationship with his daughter than may have been the case.
I didn't. Like I said, I didn't change any facts or distort any facts.
A lot of people disagree with that. Lorraine Jobs, for one.
Fortunately, Aaron Sorkin is a class act, and the bravado on Showcase bounced off him like nothing happened. And it's that kind of spirit that, combined with Danny Boyle, fit perfect to bring the Rubik's Cube-like image of Steve Jobs off the page and onto celluloid and digital capture. As a cool nod to reflect growth in technology, director of photography Alwyn H. Kuchler captured Act 1 on 16, Act 2 on 35, and Act 3 on digital. It makes Steve Jobs a really great example for why film is important. Digital may be A, B, and C, and sure, X, Y, and Z, but grain is equally as valid for telling stories. Cost will always be a factor, no denying it, but it makes no sense to me to discourage and, in the worst possible case, kill where movies came from. I mean, you may as well make the keyboard the only writing tool anyone ever has. And while Steve Jobs arguably wouldn't have minded that, I'm pretty sure he'd agree that everything begins when it does for a reason. Speaking of, there are a lot of reasons why I love this movie, and chief among them is, I forgot that I was watching one. It is a one-of-a-kind marriage between dialogue and direction, and when it's meant to be, the movie gods, you know what they do? They take the day off, and they let the magic create itself. Jobs this time is portrayed by Michael Fassbender. Compared to Ashton Kutcher, he doesn't look as much like Jobs, but his performance makes up for that. Previously portrayed by Josh Gad, Seth Rogen is very impressive as Steve Wozniak. After seeing him in this movie, bro, do more dramas. Seriously. Also competing for time with Jobs is Kate Winslet, Michael Stolberg, and Jeff Daniels. Brilliant, fantastic, outstanding, the right choice for the part. Pick one for all three, you will not be wrong. The drama surrounding Steve Jobs and these back and forths may initially sound annoying, but allow me to reassure you, this movie may have been in the theater for only a couple of weeks, but it's a lot more compelling than that runtime alludes to. Danny Boyle's direction is invisible, and Aaron Sorkin's dialogue flows like the best classical music, resulting in a movie that flies by like that. My favorite part of this drama are 3 editing choices. Words on the wall, footage of a launch on the wall of a narrow hallway, and flash frames of Lisa. I love those choices because they were welcome surprises. What could have been poor integration was inspired storytelling. My notes for improvement do not exist, but to be honest, I am disappointed in myself for not seeing this opening weekend. Steve Jobs is not Warcraft or Batman, but when a movie possesses such great drama, it does deserve to be felt with an audience. And while, sure, it didn't do well financially, let's bear in mind that money only speaks so loud. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. Thank you for your time.